messages. So who knows if we're live or not, but we'll wait till the thing says. Well, I've just got a notification to say that I'm live on my own phone. So welcome everybody. It is so good to have Anna Bonasera here today. We are so lucky that she agreed to come live with us. So I started SparkStories because I talk to a lot of business owners in my role as a MIB leader, and I realized that actually there's a real I can't think of the word now, of course, but there's a real similarity between my own business and helping parents to work and find their child's spark. And actually, loads of these business women were now following their own spark as well. So I just thought it was really interesting. And I love knowing about people's businesses. So if you are watching live, can you give us some comments, give us some reactions and things, just so that the algorithm can send it out to more people, because this is going to be so powerful. I just know it is. I am just sharing into a couple of groups as well. But while I'm doing that sharing, Anna, welcome. Could you tell us about you, what you do, and how you got to this point in your business?
Hi, thanks so much for having me. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Anna Bonasera. I am a mum of 5 children, 4 of those who are either diagnosed or awaiting an autism ADHD assessment. Also, my twins who kind of started us off on this SEND journey. They were diagnosed at 3 and now they're now 11, but they also have learning disabilities and they were both non-verbal, and one is now fully verbal and one's minimal speaking. So we have a wide range of kind of mental health, anxiety, special educational needs in our household. So it is chaotic, but we adapt and we have lots of laughter and happiness. And that is kind of what brought me on my journey to being an ADHD certified coach, and a neurodivergent consultant, because I have a lot of life experience in the kind of autism realm. And a few years ago, when my eldest was flagged for ADHD, I was really shocked and I did not think he was ADHD at all in the slightest, when Cam's kind of said, oh, he scores really highly. So I went and did a lot of research on ADHD, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, that is me. And my son is me. We are the same person, and these are the things we struggle with. So the kind of stereotypical ADHD, the little white boy who's bouncing off the walls, like very stereotypical, is not what ADHD is like at all for me, or for my eldest. And the kind of inattentive side is where I found that I fitted the most. But funnily enough, when I was diagnosed this year, I said that I kind of resonated more with the inattentive side. And the psychiatrist who was doing my assessment was like, why do you not see the hyperactive side? And I was like, oh, oh, is it that obvious? Is it then? Okay, cool. It was just really interesting to kind of hear their take on it. So I made it my hyper focus. So for the past like 2 years, I've literally been getting the qualifications, and I'm now certified. And I am working toward with a few clients at the minute. I'm almost fully booked until September. But also have a new membership which I'm launching, which is really close to my heart, because in 2019 I had a really severe mental health problems related to being a parent carer and the struggles and challenges that we face. And I was denied any help from the NHS because my low moods and anxieties were normal due to the circumstances. And that rejection I took really hard. And the next day I had pretty much the biggest breakdown I've ever had. And I managed to help myself. I have a great family support network. My husband is incredible. My dad actually paid me to have some therapy, but I know that not everyone has a family support network. Not everyone has someone who can kind of give them access to therapy and coaching. And I just don't think it should be inaccessible, especially to a group in society who are so forgotten, so underappreciated, the work we do as parent carers. So I decided to start a membership, which is called the Reset Room, which every month we get group coaching and group therapy for £10 a month. So it's really accessible that people can tap into this and just have some time to look after themselves, because I'm sure you know, Abby, we put a lot of time into our children and energy into them, and we are very easily forget to look after ourselves. But at the end of the day, I always say we are the captain of the ship, and if we sink, the whole ship goes down with us. So yeah.
Oh yeah. There's nothing more true than that, is there? And I was just talking to someone else this morning, and we were saying that as soon as you become a mum, suddenly all of your needs and all of your things that you need to do just to get by suddenly goes out of the window, and you suddenly feel like you have to be this martyr. And we're trying to work on, going back to how we are, like you say, we're the captain of the ship, and if we're not looking after ourselves, how on earth can they expect to be regulated and all of those things? So yeah, really, really important. Um, yeah. So, so what is your top tip for the people watching or will watch later? Um, Something that they can sort of take into their lives and actually start implementing right now. What would you say to people?
I think the biggest thing that I have really been focusing on recently in my life and in my practice is, what are our triggers? Like, it's very easy to get caught up in thinking, how can we help our children with their big emotions, their meltdowns? But when you look around you in your house, for example, and you feel overwhelmed, what is it exactly that's overwhelming you? And, being ADHD myself and working with ADHD clients, like, that idea is overwhelming because that's like the big picture. Like, we've talked about this before, haven't we? I'd be like, the big picture is kind of scary, and it's like we can't see the end result always. But what little tiny things can you do that is going to save you in the future? Like, I can't control what state my children are going to come home in. They could be great, they could be absolutely, in so much physical, mental pain and challenge that they lash out at me. Like, I can't control that, but I can control some little things that are going to trigger me if I don't sort them out. So I always ask myself now, what can I do now that my future self is going to thank me for? And at first, when I started saying that to myself, I was like, oh, no, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. But I kept repeating it and I kept repeating it. And actually, one of the things that I really struggle with is the mornings. So
Mm.
I always used to empty the dishwasher in the morning, but most of the times I forget to do it. And it would just be another thing that just added strain to my day, right? So one morning I come down and the dishwasher just making this noise. And it obviously been doing that all night. So flashes come to me like of us all like burning to death in our sleep. So the idea of us almost dying actually made me change our whole evening and morning routine to be better in the morning. So now I literally do not ever put the dishwasher on overnight, and I try and have it filled, washed, and empty. Not always, because life gets in the way, but at least if it is done, I know that there's not that thing, and I will try. And along with that, so that was like a stepping point. So that was one thing I started implementing, like one small thing. Then when I kind of got into that routine, I started implementing sorting out two of the children's bags. So I'll do two of the children's bags. And then I implement a little bit more. And literally, this has been like a 2-year transformation of me feeling mentally and well enough to then go and help myself physically to feel better as well, by the way. So little steps, little steps. What are your triggers? Ask yourself, what can I do today that my future self is going to thank me for? And implement little bits at a time to see that progress build up.
I think that's really, really, really so useful because a lot of the time we'll think to ourselves, I'm ready to change. And then you like, I'm gonna do it all right now. And then you like maybe a day or two, or maybe even a week or two, and then you're like, I can't do anymore. But the little things make a big difference, don't they? And I'm gonna really butcher it, but someone made this analogy to like a stone, and those hag stones that you get and they've got the holes going all the way through, and that's probably been made by like years of tiny little bits rubbing against it or water eroding it, and those are just like droplets all the time, and it all makes such a big difference. And like you say, it might take a long time, but it's doing those little things and it will make such a big difference in the end. And having compassion for yourself as well. Like you said, it doesn't always happen. That's okay. And again, lots of parents will feel that guilt and they'll ruminate on that guilt and keep going on and on and on about it. But it's okay if we're not perfect. It is okay. Yeah.
It's about having
So
that grace, get back on the horse again and go again. Like, not just
Yeah.
think, oh, I'm a failure, I didn't do it for one day. Just, it's okay, move on, next day, let's do it.
Yeah. And what effect then has that had on your kids? Now that you've helped that routine and you've helped yourself, what effect does that then have on your children?
It means that I'm calmer and I can be the parent they need. Like I said, with after school, I can't predict how they're going to be before
Mm.
school either. And one of my children has a lot of challenging behaviour and self harm. Mentally, he's a lot younger for his age, and he's very strong. So when I've got that, you know, he's not a small person anymore, but he's in my heart. He's a small person. This human that I made, and he's having so much mental struggle and frustration of not being able to get out how he's feeling or whatever's going on for him. And if I was in a bad mental state or I was feeling rushed because I had just done the dishwasher and I was trying to pack all the bags and I hadn't done anything the night before, I always feel worse and I always have less patience to be able to deal with it. I'm much more emotional, so I get to be the parent that they need, that safe space, that strong, calm person that needs to stand in front of them and take whatever it is that they need to let out. That's what they need. And it's not always easy to deal with big emotions of your own emotions, and that's a whole other live we could do talking about big feelings and emotions. But if I have done something that has just had one less glass of stress in my bucket, that makes a whole huge difference to the kids.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Because they feel our energy, don't they, at the end of the day? Even if we're good at hiding it in a way, they know. They always know. Yeah. What have I written down while you've been talking? So personally for you, because when I've worked, the clients that I work with, often we might be chatting for a few weeks and then they will say something to me and they'll say something like, do you think they've got any neurodivergence? And I say, well, obviously I don't know your child, so I'm not qualified to say that. And then often parents will say, well, I don't want to give them a label, I don't want them to go on medication. Would it have helped you, do you think, looking back, having known many, many years ago?
So for me personally, yes, but also
Mm.
out of all my children, so my fourth boy and child, he was so when they did the 2 year check, it was lockdown, so we kind of did it on Zoom. And I wasn't really looking for any neurodivergence within him because it was so different from having the twins were so severely delayed. It was so different. It was so different. Um, and there were things that I thought maybe, but then a lot of our kind of like outside voices of our family were like, no, it's just learned behavior from the twins and all this stuff. And even preschool at one point did flag it, and they said, he has these struggles here and here, specifically with transitions, which I think is a big one that people don't realize. Like transitioning from one thing to another is a huge, struggle for a neurodivergent person, especially when it's something they loved, something they don't like, um, and how they kind of react to that and struggle with it. But I, again, listen, like me and my husband were listening to the outside voice. We were like, okay, we'll just leave it and we'll see how he gets on at school. It got to school in the first kind of term. I raised like what preschool had said, and the teacher was like, no, it's fine. At this point, I was then pregnant with our daughter. And it got to April, and he was 5 in the June, and they said, actually, no, we think he's got ADHD. And I was like, why are you telling me this now when I don't have any time to go through the pediatrician route? Now, when you're getting diagnosis, going through pediatrician, it's still long, but it's a lot less painful. Going through CAMS is actually soul destroying at times.
Mm.
Um, but because he wasn't, we had put strategies in place that helped him that he was struggling with, especially with like bedtime transitions and stuff, and it was working and we were kind of getting along fine. So I was like, okay, we will just leave it for now, because I was due in May. I was so obviously heavily pregnant, I just didn't have the capacity. I was like, we'll wait till September and we'll do a referral through CAMS. um September came, and I noticed it beginning in the summer holidays, but I didn't really flag it. But basically by Christmas, we were at crisis point with his mental health. I
Oh.
had a 5-year-old telling me that he didn't want to be here anymore, and he was self-harming at home and at school, and it was awful.
Mm.
Now, if we had gone, not listened to his outside voices, not thought about labels, no labels, and just gone on the best interest of him, and this is what we noticed, could we have been in a different position? Maybe, I don't know.
Mm.
But that is one of the things that I am strongly believe in, because if you as a parent don't know exactly who they are, and the child grows up then not knowing exactly who they are, big issues, and we're seeing that now more than ever coming through with a lot of children who obviously are struggling with EBSA, and a lot of teens who are going into secondary school and how they just can't cope,
Yeah.
particularly girls as well, when it's all that's kind of like hormonal, it's all coming out. And then with me myself, like I wasn't necessarily someone who struggled at school, but I definitely had a lot of anxiety, but didn't no one really talk about anxiety when I was at school. I mean, I'm a 33, so I'm not that old, but I still think it wasn't really around until kind of we got like into
Yeah.
sixth form, maybe like 18, 19, and it was such a new thing. um and I see so many things, I'm like, oh my god, yeah, that. But if I'd have grown up knowing that, that would have probably made a big difference in my life and in my parenting journey as well. Like now discovering that I am ADHD, potentially autistic, waiting for an assessment, I've put things in place that help me to parent better because I have a different brain type. You read all these parenting manuals, you go on all these parenting courses, even the parenting courses that are for neurodivergent children, they're still aimed at neurotypical people. And I don't get how you work like that, because ADHD is more hereditary than eye color and hair color. And I'm pretty sure autism is pretty much the same. So yeah, it's mental, how much it changed. And I see it within my 12-year-old. We have very open conversations about the fact that he is most probably autistic ADHD, and we talk about his struggles, and like he comes to me and he will literally say, look, I'm struggling with this, and we will find a strategy around it. Like processing for him is really hard, so trying to do food tech, like instead of me going, oh, you should just be able to follow those instructions, I get to sit with him and be like, this is something you struggle with, these step by step, I struggle with it too. Like literally I'll get a Hello Fresh box and I'll miss out 3 different steps, and then I will have a really weird dinner. And he's the same, literally he like made scones, bless him, but forgot to put the sugar in it. So it's just having that level of understanding and being able to give that to them is really powerful, really powerful.
And yeah, and I think that's very reflected in my experience when I was a nursery manager, the amount of young women, like 20s, that were going through an assessment, and they were all saying, I just don't think I would have had the mental health problems I have now if I had known, because at least I would have known that I wasn't bad. And yeah, I think it's really, really important that we understand ourselves, everyone, but especially if there's a difference. Yeah. So my other question that I've written down here while you were talking is, what's your hope for the future of neurodivergence?
Oh, just make getting assessments more accessible,
Mm.
easier. I know, like, I'm part of the parent reps for Oxfordshire Parent Care Forum, and everyone should have a forum or some kind of voice for parent carers in whatever county you're in. And I know they're trying. I know they are trying, but it just seems mental how little qualified people there are to do the assessments on the NHS pathway to the ones in private. I don't quite get it personally. Um, but I just think it is inaccessible, and there's a lot of, I still think there's quite a lot of shame around this. I think there needs to be so much more education within schools to have
Yeah.
that acceptance, like as in for the children and for the teachers as well, 100%. Um, yeah, like, oh, so much. I do hope we get to a point where it's like it's just part of every day. But I'm getting kind of referrals coming in, not no, well, not really referrals, but people coming in from different settings, being like, we've got a parent here who is in denial and literally doesn't want to face the fact that their child
Mm.
might have some additional needs.
Mhm.
And I just hope that parents never have to feel like that in the future, and they just are like, wow, they're autistic. Okay, let's work this way, and then there won't be so many issues.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think things are changing. Like there's so much talk about it online now. Like I grew up with my brother who has ADHD, and my experience of going through the school system after him was very much teachers constantly saying to me, "Oh, you're his but you're not his sister." I was like, "I am," and they were always so shocked because I was very, I was very on the how they would expect me to be. Um, so that I grew up with people who thought he was just naughty. And that's really sad. It's really sad. But I think that there are some people that will talk like say all the chatter on social media is making everyone diagnose themselves and blah blah blah. But I think it's really helpful because it is just raising awareness and yeah, hopefully we'll get to a place where every classroom and every educational establishment actually treats every child like the individual person that they are. And yeah, there's many big shifts there, but hopefully one day.
I think the whole education system just needs to kind of uppull. I think someone needs to be really
Yeah,
brave and just go, right, we're starting from scratch and this is what we're doing instead.
that's another conversation that I could talk about for hours. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You are definitely right. And teachers when they're training, I did my training. I can't remember now, but not that long ago because I'm a similar age to you. And I think we had one day on SEN. One day. It's just it's not enough. It's not enough. But anyway,
No.
yeah. So thank you so much for coming on and chatting to us. That was really, really useful. Um, tell us again where we can find you and make sure you pop all your links in the comments below afterwards as well so that people can come and find you. So
I am Anna Bonasera everywhere. That is my handle for Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
really,
Come
really
and
good name to remember as well because it's got that nice rhythm to it.
although hard to spell, I think sometimes might get it wrong. But
Cool.
and yeah, that's me. Yeah, I'll pop the links in the comments below.
And go and check out your Anna's I can't think of the word membership that you've just launched. Can people still join your group for your event from last week and have a look at those things,
Yes,
or is that
yes.
yeah?
So that's
Tell
available
us,
to open it. Be open till I think like 30 days they'd start deleting things,
yeah.
don't they? So got 2 weeks left, 3 weeks left.
So tag that group below as well. But basically, you had a whole day of experts talking about, was it all about neurodivergence and things?
So it was all about parent carers mental health. So it was
Yeah.
all
Okay.
different professional practitioners and also real life stories from people to help us. A day for us to put ourselves first.
Perfect. Fab. So thank you very much for coming on. And I can't see any comments at the moment, but who knows what's going on there. But yeah, I will speak to you soon, and everyone else, I will see you all very soon as well.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.